All right, so the following video is a client interview between Will, who is my co-founder at B2B SaaS, and Casey, who is the founder of ListMint. So we've been working with ListMint since pre-launch and pre-revenue up until today, where they're doing mid 5 figures in monthly recurring revenue, so a multi 6-figure run rate, which has all happened this year in 2024. So with that being said, I hope you enjoy the video.
Hey, Casey, thanks for jumping on today.
Yeah, for sure.
Look, I guess today it would be great if you could maybe give the viewers of the video a little bit of a quick rundown on what ListMint is and maybe what people use your product for.
Yeah, so I own a software company called Listman. It's an email verification tool. So anyone doing cold outbound, specifically email, you buy data from places like Apollo or enrichment tools, and a lot of times these emails are outdated, so you have to verify them to make sure your emails don't bounce. If you're familiar with cold email, you have all these domains, and when you send emails that don't exist and they bounce, it hurts your reputation really bad. You start going to spam. So that's what email verification tools are for. And then specifically, we do something called standard SMTP verification, which is pretty standard. Most verifiers do this. But our specialty is catch-all verification, which basically no other tool on the market offers. And so when you run verification, it splits it into 3 categories. There's valid, invalid, and risky. That's what most tools say, is like these emails are risky. It's about like 30 or 40%, and they can't really tell if they're valid. But we have an algorithm that we run that can tell if these are valid or invalid. So you get these like 30 to 40% of the leads that you paid for that you typically would have to throw out. You can use those and get them back.
Nice. And I guess when we started working together, where would you say that you were at? Like, we started working together pretty early in the piece, I think, in the ListMint journey compared to where you are today. But I guess it might be good to hear from you, I guess, where you were when we first started working together, and then maybe where you are today, both in terms of revenue and then I guess changes to the value prop that I guess you've created.
Yeah, for sure. So when we started working together, I think I'd have to ballpark. I think it was about 3 months before I launched. So this is still when I was developing everything. That was what I did before this, was I was a developer. So I joined because I needed help marketing or having a plan to, like, for when I launched, basically, because I didn't really know what I was doing there. So yeah, we started working together, I think, about 3 months before we launched. We made a plan. We went over the messaging on the landing page. I changed a lot of that. Yeah, the offers that we would run, we brainstormed some of those when I first started doing marketing. My pricing completely changed. I think before we had no monthly model, and it was kind of pay as you go, and we switched to a monthly model, which ended up working out really well. But yeah, so I was developing. I didn't really have a plan for when I would launch. And then I started working with you, and we kind of developed that, and it ended up working out really well.
Yeah, nice. And then I guess in terms of like maybe revenue, like ballpark specifically, I guess, obviously having not launched the product yet when we first worked together to launching, I guess you were starting, but maybe where you are today, and then what you think some of the biggest drivers for that growth has probably been.
Yeah, so we launched in February of this year, and I think I joined, about 3 months before that. But yeah, so we were at 0. I had some like beta users, but basically 0 in February. And then about July or August, we were at like the mid 5 figures MRR range.
Yeah, nice. And then what were you doing before you launched personally? Were you working?
Yeah, so when I was developing Listman, I had a part-time internship developing. I was in college, and then all my spare time was developing Listman.
Yeah, nice. And then now do you just do Listman?
Yeah, at the start of this year when I launched, I left my job. I actually left college too. I didn't graduate. But yeah, I just went full-time into Listman. It worked out pretty well.
Nice. And then I guess, why did you decide to to work with myself and maybe now Liam as well, I guess what would you say made you pull the trigger based on what you'd seen and heard about us?
Yeah, so I mean, the first thing I saw about you was, I think, your Twitter and how you made a legal SaaS. I think you sold it for 7 figures. So you were someone that I knew of, and I think you were talking about coaching people. So I'm like, oh, that'll be perfect. So because I didn't know anyone in the SaaS space really. I knew a lot of like lead gen people who those would be my users.
Yeah.
But like any coaching besides like marketing, I didn't really have anyone. So I'm like, this is probably something I need to do. Yeah, but that's initially why I ended up going with you and Liam.
Yeah, it makes sense. I guess follow the path from someone who's done it before. Absolutely. Yeah. I guess when you started working with us, where do you feel like the biggest value we added to the business was? Like, yes, of course, I think coming up with a plan for launch and those sorts of things. But I guess now that you've launched today, and I guess you're doing revenue, maybe what we help, I guess, to be able to continue to add value to the business and increase revenue right now.
Yeah, for sure. So Liam, I know he's really good with. He just got me on doing a LinkedIn outreach strategy, and we work with a content agency now, which has worked out really well for us. That we were kind of neglecting that before, and Liam was like, got us on that right path. So that recently, that's what we've been doing. That's definitely added a lot of value. It's hard to say what's added the most value because I don't have a comparison since we worked together from the start. But yeah, immediately we redid like the entire landing page. We redid the pricing. We came up with offers. So I mean, so it's hard to like gauge the value or what it would have looked like if I didn't do that. It probably would have been a lot worse. But another thing too is when we started working together, you introduced me to a lot more people in the space who I got really good advice from them. One of them is Caduce, who runs Inframail. Originally, I think before we launched, you introduced me to him, and he runs a software that has like the same users as I do. So he was a huge help when it came to marketing. So I didn't really have many connections, but you definitely like introduced me to some people that got me pretty far.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I guess if there was a startup founder that was watching this right now who was on the fence about working with us, what would you tell them?
I would say do it. I mean, I'm always on the fence. I'm like pretty frugal, so any investment like that, I definitely think a lot about. But I mean, I had the money to do it, and I'm like, I don't think I would ever regret having like experts analyze my business and like I'm basically paying so I don't have to learn all these lessons. I can just have, you and Liam go in there and tell me what's wrong or tell me what I need to do better. And it did save me a ton of time. I mean, you pointed me in directions for specifically marketing that like worked immediately that, who knows how long it would have taken me to come up with those systems or find those strategies.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the whole idea behind what we do is to try and help people get, to where they want to be faster, so they don't have to go through the trials and tribulations that we've seen many times over.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, cool. Yeah, thanks, Casey. Thanks so much for your time.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.